Hello, welcome to the video, and the day has come where BA changes the basis of achieving status in its loyalty program to one based on how much you spend. We knew this day was coming, and now it's here. A mixture of shock, anger and disappointment is rippling around the community. A few people are happy with these changes, but they're almost too scared to express that emotion, as the 99% of people who are losing out really don't want to hear it. This really isn't how I planned to spend my New Year's Eve and my New Year's Day, but I had well over 50 requests for a video from various sources, so I dug out the black armband again, and here we go. So in this video, I'll talk about the changes, what they mean, and I'll give you my personal reaction to them. Plus, I'll reveal what I'm likely to do. So if that sounds good, stick around. Hi, I'm Matt, and this is Matt's Planet. I aim to entertain, educate and inspire with my travel adventures, from planning to execution. I'll show you how you can travel in style for a lot less than you'd think. So subscribe so you can come with me. Now, I'm not going to go line by line through the changes. Others have done that, and I'm sure you've all received and read the email and looked at the online resources BA has made available. I'm going to focus more on the consequences of these changes. But first, I need to have a bit of a vent about how BA has done this. Most people involved in the sector know that loyalty programs are moving in this direction. All major US airlines have a spend-based loyalty program, and we all knew that BA would move in this direction eventually. But the speed with which they've done this is truly shocking. They've still not completed the last major change, which is to align everybody's year end, and this next major change will now butt up right against the completion of the previous project. I expected BA to give those membership year-end changes at least a year to bed in before they loaded on anything else new. But no, they're getting straight on with it. It's so abrupt that they're actually going to renege on a promise that they'd previously made to all of us when it comes to double tier points on BA holidays, but I'll come back to that. So BA announced this on the Monday between Christmas and New Year, a time when most journalists are going to be on holiday, and the media's ability to react to these changes are limited. Rob at Head for Points wryly pointed out that most of BA's own media team are actually on holiday this year, which makes them unavailable to be shouted at by concerned parties. This smacks of a decision that BA knew would be unpopular, knew would be controversial, and knew would create a backlash. So they tried to sneak it through in a time window when the impact on them could be minimised, which is pretty despicable if you ask me. And the way it was announced was, well, it was just insulting, wrapped in the usual fake positivity, and all of it designed to conceal the truth of actually what's happening. Offering new ways to progress through the tiers is, strictly speaking, accurate, although it is completely disingenuous to focus on that aspect of the changes. People have described this as gaslighting, which wasn't a phrase that I was particularly familiar with, but I have researched it in the context of what BA has done, and I think it actually fits. BA is denying reality in a way that makes you question your understanding of things. This is extremely poor behaviour from BA, and it does make me question whether they have the morals and values of a company that I want to do any business with at all. It's disingenuous, and it insults our intelligence. They actually say that I am a valued member of their new club. Well, I'm not. These changes show that my loyalty is a burden to BA, and these changes are expressly designed to prevent me from having status with them in the future. I won't talk in detail about what was in the announcement, but it did omit several important things. You may be able to earn 2,500 new tier points from credit card spending, but they didn't tell you how much you'd have to spend in order to earn those tier points. I'm going to speculate that spending £25,000 through your BA Amex will earn you those points, which will get you a third of the way towards silver status. And for some, that may not be particularly difficult. But they didn't talk about a lot of other stuff, such as when the Guff vouchers are triggered, but some things were conspicuous by their absence, most notably the question of soft landings. This is the arrangement whereby you only drop one tier if you fail to re-qualify for the higher tier in a membership year. So if you're gold, you don't quite get back to gold, you'll only drop to silver. Now, some insiders have reported that because this was only ever an informal arrangement, it was never actually expressly stated in the terms and conditions, those driving these changes really want to ditch soft landings. So, for example, if you're gold in the new scheme but have a very quiet travel year and don't travel with BA at all, instead of dropping to silver, you'll go all the way right back down to blue, which is basically statusless. That would be an extraordinary development if it proves to be true, and would be a kick in the teeth for the very few customers that BA are going to be able to keep loyal through these changes. And the question of a soft landing is crucial to people's decision making as to whether to secure status before these changes come into play. So lots of questions are being asked of BA's representatives. And I've seen a number of responses from those BA reps that look like politicians' answers. You know, we have no plans to do that right now. Well, you may want to do it, you may have decided to do it, you may have a strategy to do it, but you haven't yet formulated the plans to actually execute it. Well, saying that is actually true. It's going to happen, but we have no plans yet. Here's another one that looks very carefully crafted. There are no changes to our soft landing proposition. That feels very disingenuous. Again, there is no soft landing proposition as it is an informal benefit, so they can do away with it without making any changes to the proposition. They can do away with soft landings and that statement will still technically be true. This all feels like yet more gaslighting from British Airways. So let me contextualise the changes that have been announced. To get bronze, you'll need to spend £3,500 in a year, silver will require £7,500 in a year, and gold will require a spend of £20,000 in a year. The £3,000 I used to budget to spend on status when I was getting tier points at about £2 each now won't even get me to the bronze tier under this new scheme. But that is quite misleading again, because you'll actually have to spend more, and in some cases quite a lot more. These advertised tier thresholds are net of taxes and fees, although they do include BA's rip-off carrier surcharges, but we will still have to pay quite a lot more than those headline figures to achieve those levels of status. If you've studied the way avios are now earned when flying, they use the same calculation basis, so you're probably going to be familiar with it. A couple of examples. If your regular routing is London to New York in club class and you book with a reasonable amount of notice, you, or more likely your employer, is likely to be paying about £2,700 for a return ticket. Out of that, £326 is taxes and fees, meaning the amount that will contribute towards status is only £2,400. If you gross up that required spend by the 11.9% of your ticket price that won't qualify, you'll need to spend £8,400 to get to silver and £22,400 to get to gold, which means you'd have to do 8 of those return trips each year to get to gold. Under the old scheme, where you'd earn 280 old tier points for a return, you'd only need 5 and a bit flights to get to gold. So status has actually gotten harder to achieve even for those who travel regularly on expensive corporate purchased tickets. Now, if your regular routing is London to Glasgow, then 28% of that ticket price is taxes and fees, which means you'll actually have to spend £9,600 to get to silver, which is 45 round trips. It's 120 round trips to get to gold. The ability to achieve bronze and silver status by flying a fixed number of BA flights has been removed, by the way, so there's no longer a shortcut to getting there. So kiss goodbye to any status if your business travel follows that pattern. Now, BA says they are doing this in response to feedback, which is a gross distortion of the truth. Turkeys may give feedback that they'd like to be warm, but they don't expect that feedback to be interpreted that they want to go into an oven. Now, lounge overcrowding exists, and it's often quoted as an irritation to premium travellers. And you can see that this is a way to address that problem. But it's a bit like amputating a leg when you have an ingrown toenail. I actually think that the double tier point promotion is the root cause of the lounge overcrowding, as you used to be able to get 80% of the way to silver by taking just one 5-day trip from Glasgow to Sofia in club class. That's where all of these people have come from. Talking of holidays, a quick aside. The double tier point promotion was scheduled to end on the 30th of June this year. Happy 2025, by the way. Holidays you have booked that are due to take place after these changes take effect, which is the 1st of April, will still have their tier points doubled, although the calculation will be done under the new system. Holidays booked today, which were completed before the 31st of March, will be doubled as normal. But the promotion will now end on the 31st of March, which means that anyone who had relied on BA's representations and was planning to book a holiday in the new year for the months of April, May and June, and were expecting to have those tier points doubled through that promotion, now will no longer get that doubling of tier points. Changing a promotion that has been in force for a long time, which many people will have relied on being able to use, is really shabby. It will be disappointing to a lot of people, and it makes me think that these changes are being rushed through by BA. Now, going back to the issue of thinning lounge traffic, I think this will grossly overcorrect the problem. No leisure traveller is going to get anywhere near any level of status that provides lounge access. Very few business travellers who currently achieve status and no doubt are profitable to BA are going to be able to retain status under these new rules if their travel patterns stay the same. So the lounges are going to end up deserted. Some people are even speculating that this is a long-term play by BA to make their lounges so exclusive and therefore so empty they're able to give a number of them back to Heathrow or to other airports to save cost. Or perhaps they'll start charging people for access. We know BA loves money. So the bottom line is that status is going to be out of reach for almost everyone, except those with the biggest corporate travel budgets. And tier point runs are dead. As status is going to be based on spend, there will no longer be any benefit from breaking a trip up into smaller legs to crank up the number of flights that you're taking. The people that maintain the ITA matrix servers are going to be thrilled. Now, I frequently say that all loyalty programs are the property of the owner, not of us. So BA is, of course, completely free to do what it wants. But I think this will have a far more significant impact on BA's business in the short, medium and long term than BA is expecting. Time will tell. Flying BA can be a great experience, but it can also be completely rubbish. And I guarantee that overall it is not as good an experience as BA thinks it is. Brunchgate, anyone? Lots of people, and I mean lots and lots of people, stick with BA and fly with BA because status is relatively easy to achieve. And those people, including me, feel like the added value in the ground experience that you get through having status outweighs the extra cost and the risk that you have a bad experience on the plane. Take away the crutch of that enhanced ground experience and I think BA is going to fall over as custom just disappears. You know, I actually hope BA suffers because companies cannot get away with taking their customers for granted in the way that BA is doing. If BA ends up learning a painful lesson from this, other companies will learn from it and may avoid making the same mistake. So who gains? Because some will, and one person is my mate Steve, an occasional participant on this channel. He travels long haul for work, often last-ish minute, often out of the US when fares are higher anyway, and only ever in premium economy, as his company has one of those travel policies which limits him to that cabin. In 2024, he reckons his company will have spent about $25,000 on flying him around the world, out of which he was able to get about 900 tier points. Silver, but nowhere near gold. Under the new rules, he'll still be short of gold, but he'll be quite close, and a little bit of very carefully managed personal travel should get him there. And from BA's perspective, I can see that they should be rewarding someone like Steve, who generates a lot of very profitable business for the airline, even if he's not paying for it himself, rather than me, who probably contributes less than 10% of what Steve's company pays to the One World Alliance and BA. So I can see why they're doing this, but they've turned the dial from 1, way too easy, to 10, way too hard, without considering whether 5, 6 or 7 is actually the right position to move to. So I have about 150 people in my WhatsApp group, and 2 of them have confessed that this will benefit them. And both of them do a fair bit of business travel paid for by their company, where the previous scheme undervalued their spends. The other 148 WhatsApp group members are extremely grumpy. And none of them, including the gold guest list members I have in my group, have ever said anything to BA remotely suggesting that this is what any of us want. Which does challenge their repeated assertion that we asked for this. Are there any other upsides to this? Well, a viewer called Mark sent me a lengthy and quite well thought out email trying to identify benefits of these changes. I'm not sure I agree with some of them, and I'm not sure there's a great deal of value in a few more of them. Although his point about this reducing frivolous travel undertaken solely for the purpose of achieving status probably has some merit. I don't think any individually scheduled flight is now not going to operate because tier point runners no longer have an incentive to fill those seats, although I suspect BA's flights to Sofia might get a fair bit quieter. Now, there are 2 groups of people who are significantly negatively impacted by this. Unfortunately, I'm not in either group. But if I was, I would be fuming. BA should offer support to these groups, but I'm sure they won't. The first group is people who are planning a status renewal under the old scheme who have only booked part of it. Travel booked before the announcement, which takes place after the 1st of April, will have the tier points adjusted for the new scheme so you won't lose out. So if you had the full 1500 tier points booked to get you back to gold, when you've earned them, they'll convert at a ratio of 13.5, little bit of trivia for you, but that will be considered to be £20,000 worth of spend, which will get you gold, even though you probably actually spent a lot less than that. But if you've only booked 750 tier points of your renewal, when you fly it, that will be converted to about £10,000, which will be the 50% that you had booked. The problem is you'll need to now pay £10,000 to get the other half of that renewal, which I don't think anybody who is seeking tier points cheaply is going to want to do. But remember, we've seen that that extra £10,000 is actually £12,000 in real world spending. But I bet that BA will not allow you to cancel the booking that you've already made without penalty, even though they've changed the rules on you with inadequate notice. Had they announced that these changes would take effect outside of the current open booking window, none of this would be a problem. Everybody would have had visibility. But they didn't. They're rushing them through. I doubt that they would have thought of this, and it will end up being grossly unfair. Some similar things happened when they changed the membership year ends, and BA basically just said tough, and I'm certain they're going to say the same again this time. It's really, really unfair. Lots of people are going to be affected, and my sympathies are with you if you are one of them. The second group is people chasing lifetime status. Under the old scheme, you needed 35,000 lifetime tier points to get gold for life. That's a lot of tier points, but if you get it young enough, it's a lot of benefit. After these changes, that will become 550,000 new tier points. It's interesting that the ratio between those is actually higher here than it was on the gold status renewal, but who knows why. Now imagine you've got this as a goal and you've been working diligently towards it for 20 years, earning 1,500 tier points a year. You'll probably have spent money with BA with this lifetime status in mind, even when there was a cheaper or better option. You have shown loyalty to BA through those behaviours. Averaged out over the last 20 years, those tier points might have cost you, I don't know, £1.50 each. So you'll have spent £45,000 to get yourself 86% of the way towards this lifetime status achievement. And BA announces these changes, so the 30,000 tier points you've banked will convert to 471,000 tier points under the new scheme. Sounds like a lot, doesn't it? But that leaves you 78,000 still to get, which, as we've seen, means you'll need to spend £78,000 more to get that last 14%. But it's not £78,000 as we've seen, because that's the net spend you require, so it's probably something more like £90,000. So you'll have to spend twice as much as you have lifetime to date to get the last 14% of the tier points you need, and I think that is outrageous. BA either didn't think about it, which is negligent of them, or they did think about it and they decided they didn't care. Which is cruel, and I would argue it's also deceptive. Now, I'm not a lawyer, so I can't help directly, and I'm not rich, so I can't fund a class action lawsuit here, but I do have a channel. I do have 20,000 subscribers, and I would be delighted to offer my full support to anyone who wanted to pursue BA more formally on this issue. It really is shabby behaviour. Now, I'm only on 8,000 lifetime tier points, so this isn't an issue for me. And now I'll need to spend £440,000 to get to lifetime goal. Well, that's actually closer to £500,000 because of the gross net thing. Hey, I could either have a house, quite a nice house too, or I could have lifetime gold status with BA. So that's a no from me. Hey, remember, we asked for this. So what do I think, and what am I going to do? Well, as you can probably tell, I'm quite upset by these changes. I'm not particularly upset that they've done this, because I kind of expected them to. But I am upset that they've done this so quickly, so aggressively, and they have treated their loyal customer base with such dismissiveness and contempt. I've learned that my business is of negligible value to BA. These changes emphatically communicate that to me. That news was abrupt and it was disappointing, and I now need to adjust my behaviours to echo those sentiments back to BA. BA has proven to be untrustworthy. They are not honouring the promises they've made to us in areas such as the double tier point promotion, lifetime tier points, and many others, including perhaps soft landings. Profit has proven to be more important to them than keeping their word. And as I said earlier, as a consumer, I'm not sure that makes BA a company that I want to give any further business to. So am I going to boycott BA? Well, initially I was tempted to, but I think there's a risk of cutting off noses to spite faces here. Some people have cut up their BA Amex cards in protest, but I think that's a little premature. The redemption side of the executive club, the redemption side of the club isn't changing yet. And it still offers some excellent opportunities. It will change, it will move towards dynamic pricing like the Virgin scheme recently did, at which time many of the opportunities we currently can find will disappear. And perhaps I'm naive here, but I don't see BA doing any radical gutting of the redemption side of this program as long as the changes on the earnings side are still rippling through. I think it will happen in a little while, but I'm not going to commit here to how long I think a little while will be. Hey, if enough people give up on BA completely, maybe the availability of reward seats will shoot up. Now, I've mentioned before that I'm a fan of the Aeroplan scheme, which is Air Canada's reward program, and of the opportunities for great value redemptions that it presents. But my primary Star Alliance loyalty program has throughout remained as Aegean, and I credit all the flights I take on Star Alliance to Aegean rather than Air Canada. Air Canada itself is a perfectly good airline. It's okay, but not exceptional, and I will choose it if it offers me the best value proposition on a route I'm looking to fly. And after this, BA is going to rank alongside Air Canada in my estimation. I'll remain enthusiastic about the redemption side of the equation, and I will continue to hunt out and book good and occasionally exceptional reward flights through them. I'll make sure my points balance never gets too high because there will be a devaluation. We can't trust BA not to. But until then, I will use the BA scheme aggressively to suit my needs. And if BA as an airline offers the best value proposition on a route I'm looking to fly, I'll pick them. Their onboard experience can be excellent. But my loyalty towards BA is now zero, and I will only give them my money when I feel it is in my best interests to do so. I really do feel sorry for all of the wonderful hard-working staff that BA employ, many of whom I know are just as frustrated by this as we are. So that raises the question of where am I going to credit One World flights I pay for in the future? It's now completely pointless to credit them to BA, as I will never get within cooey of status, as they say in Australia, so crediting it to BA is a completely pointless waste of time. So which One World airline will I credit them to? And which One World airline will I look to achieve status with now BA has told me they're not interested in me doing it with them? The answer is I don't know, and I probably won't know for a little while. I know it won't be American or Iberia, as they have or will shortly have the same revenue-based nonsense as BA, but it will take some time to analyse those other schemes to work out which one works best for my travel patterns. And as I have a very busy couple of travel months coming up in January, February, it may be a while before I can complete that analysis. Or I may just crib off somebody else who completes it before me. But I am resigned to the fact that I may never again achieve meaningful status anywhere within the One World Alliance. I retain and will retain my Aegean Gold status, which is valid across the Star Alliance network, but when it comes to One World, that might be it. Although I do expect some status match offers to crop up in reaction to this if BA doesn't want these customers, many of whom are quite profitable. Other airlines will. Now, whether another One World airline will offer a status match to BA, I think that's less likely, but it may be possible to get a Star Alliance or a SkyTeam match and then match across to a One World airline downstream later on. So the impact of this on me has two dimensions really. There's the professional angle and there's the personal angle. Professionally, this channel got known because of its Executive Club content. And I'm kind of recognised as the tier point run guy. If you Google BA tier points, I come up on page 1, or at least I did before this news came out and a load of news articles knocked me down to page 3. Over the years, the channel's content has broadened such that the loss of tier point runs is by no means going to be fatal to the channel, although there will be a fair few videos I now need to take offline because they will be completely irrelevant once these changes take effect. And that will cost me money. Not much, but there's not much sloshing around in the YouTube world anyway, and all of it counts. We'll have to see if I can be bothered to make a new guide to the new Executive Club, guide to the club. Now, I don't feel that I am a valued part of it. I think the channel will continue to grow without tier point run content, and as I'll come back to in a moment, every challenge is an opportunity somewhere else. So as for the personal impact, I've got my gold status for another 9 months and silver for 7 months after that. If that goes away because of the removal of soft landings, that will be very irritating. Now I could run around like crazy to try and get another 1500 tier points before the end of March. That would extend my gold status by another 7 months and then my silver status by a year, soft landings notwithstanding. But I've done the maths on that and I've looked at my calendar and I really don't think that makes sense for me. So I'm already looking to see how I can get full value out of the months that I have left. And I am actively looking at a way of getting back to Hong Kong because I'm not sure I could spend the rest of my life never being able to go to that pier first class lounge again. Some might say my plan is now to rinse BA. I prefer to look at it as getting value out of the status that I have before they whip it away from me. But given my personal circumstances, if I didn't have this channel, I would have given up chasing status a couple of years ago. I really don't travel that much these days outside of the trips I make to collect content. And most of the flights I take these days are in premium cabins where having one world status can add relatively little to the overall experience. I rarely check bags these days. So I've been paying about £3,000 every other year to maintain my gold status. And as the channel has grown, I've got quite a lot of that back from the videos I make about those experiences. I've done a few quick sums and it looks like it might cost perhaps £8,000 to get an equivalent gold status through Qatar. And if the channel continues to grow, I'd probably get a chunk of that back through covering the experience in the videos. But even if it only cost me, say, £5,000 to get gold status, that still feels like quite a lot of money. One of the emotions that has floated to the surface for me as I've processed this announcement is a sense of excitement about what I could spend that £3,000 on if I was unshackled from the objective of renewing my gold status with BA. If some of it needs to go on seat selection fees for redemptions that I book through BA's Avios program, so be it. There'll still be a lot left over, which gives me the opportunity to do some things that I wouldn't otherwise be able to do. As I say, out of adversity comes opportunity. Now there's a lot more that I could talk about, but I think I'm going to end things here. BA has a history of not getting these things right first time round, so there could very well be revisions. And the scheme as designed does present BA with a number of opportunities to drop in incentives to help people out. Who knows what discretion is going to be afforded to agents going forwards. And if you can put £25,000 a year through your BA Amex credit card, if that ends up being the requirement, that gets you a third of the way towards silver, which probably makes it just achievable. BA will give you 1,000 points in return for £1,000 investment towards its sustainable fuel initiative, but I'd rather spend that £1,000 on travel and get the points that way. But silver may be in reach as there is no longer a requirement to fly on any BA metal to achieve status. So over time, people may squirrel out very interesting opportunities on partner airlines to earn tier points inexpensively, which may make silver status just within reach. But BA has lost my trust and I'm not going to believe anything they promise for some time yet, perhaps ever. It feels like one of my favourite hobbies has been banned, and I'm going to miss it. No more optimising runs on ITA Matrix, no more frustration when the power tools add-in doesn't work, no more feeling slightly smug and superior that I paid only a fraction of the guy sitting next to me to get access to those first-class lounges. But it's BA's scheme, and it was never going to last forever, and it probably was too easy to get high status. It's difficult, but I need to focus on the 10 years where I got that status inexpensively and enjoyed it, rather than the 20 years where it's now probably impossible. So I need a new hobby. You know, maybe I'll invest some of the £3,000 I won't now be spending on BA on some more Lego. So thanks for watching. Condolences to any of you that are badly affected by this. It's really tough for everyone, but for some people there are real large amounts of money on the line here. I'm going to end this video now. You know the usual stuff, like, subscribe, etc, etc, etc. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.